Hi all, and welcome you all to the lecture series of Universal Human Values 2 Understanding Harmony. In this video lecture, we will look into the lecture on understanding harmony in the human being, harmony in myself. This is Lalita Ramachandran, Assistant Professor in the Department of Science and Humanities, RMK Engineering College. So, in our previous lectures, we have explored the harmony between self and body. In this particular lecture, we will now explore the harmony in the activities of the self and see how harmony could be ensured in all activity that ultimately leads to the harmony in the self and hence the continuity in happiness. Let us take a deeper look to try and investigate into the self now. So in this session now we'll look into the activities of the self. We know that human being is the self and the body, and there is an exchange of information between the self and the body. So here the ability and the power is nothing but the desire within me. I have the desire within me. I have the ability of thought within me. I have the ability of expectation within me. And this desire, thought and expectation together is nothing but the activity of imagination happening within me. Can you all see that all the decisions are made in our imagination? The decision regarding behavior with human being is taken at the level of imagination. Similarly, for any work we do with rest of nature, the decisions are taken at the level of imagination only, and it is where all decisions are taken. So now let us look into the innate meaning and the ability of the desire, thought and expectation in us, which is altogether known as the activity of the self. Desire is about what you want to be. It is name given to the activity of imaging. Desire is the power of the activity of imaging. You are making an image in the self. When you say desire, it is a form of image which you have created within you. For example, if there is a desire for a big house, you want to become the owner of the house. So when you say desire for a big house, it means you want to be owner of a big house and you have an image of this within you. So desire means imaging of what you want to be. So what is thought? Thought is the activity of analyzing based on comparing various possibilities to fulfill your desires. So when it comes to the thought, the ability or the power of the activity of analyzing, we try to work out the details of how to fulfill our desires. So when you have a desire of becoming an owner of a big house, you try to work out the details of the house. For example, you would now look into that how big the dining hall should be, how many bedrooms with attached bathroom it should be, how should be my veranda, how should be my portico, etc. So this is nothing but analyzing. So you are trying to separate different parts of your image, trying to work out the details of the image and trying to analyze the image, that is called thought. So you generate lots of possibilities in detail and you are taking up some of them. For the veranda, you may have lots of possibilities, an open veranda or partially covered veranda or so on. So you compare these possibilities and take up some of them. So which one you will take up and which one you will not depend will totally be on the basis of comparison. So thought is the activity of analyzing based on comparing various possibilities to fulfill your desire. We can see that desire is about what to do, what to be, and thought is about how to fulfill the desire. So thought is about how to do. Expectation is the another power or ability of the self for the activity of selecting based on tasting. For example, when you are desiring for a big house, you have an image of it. You are analyzing that image, trying to work out the details of it, and now you are trying to fill the finer details like how should I smooth up my walls, how should I color up, Should I go with tiles on my walls, or should I go with some designer paintings on my walls? So these are the activities of selecting. So here is a house, a drawing room, and you want to decide whether you want to put a white color or green color or a tile or some wall picture, etc. So this selection, what you are doing, is nothing but based on your taste. So if you had visited some place and you some creative things seen, probably you will select that, and since you had looked it to be quite attractive, probably that would be the taste of your room also. So expectation is the activity of selecting, which is of course on the basis of taste only. So whatever is the content of imagination, there is source of motivation for our imagination. It could be based on some preconditioning, that is assuming without knowing, could be one of the source of my imagination. The second source of imagination is sensation, that is the information that I get from the body. And third source is the natural acceptance. So if my imagination is dictated by the preconditioning, then this is enslavement. And if my source of imagination is governed by sensation, then again it is enslavement. But if my imagination is being governed by natural acceptance, then I am self-organized. So the imaging that you have within you, check whether it is guided by your natural acceptance. For example, in case of the house you wanted to buy, whether you have really understood the need of it, and that is why you have the desire to buy, or whether the new house of your friend fascinated you, that gave that initiation of desire within you. Such desire is based on the sensation. Or if you feel that if you own a new house, you are respected more in the society. So here your preconditioning is dictating your desire. This is the way we need to analyze our desires. We need to understand what is the source of desire is. So for every imagination, we have to make out our sources. One, analyze what is the source of my imagination. Second, analyzation would be what is going on in my imagination. What is the role of imaging here? What am I analyzing and comparing here? How do I select and what taste I get from my selection? So now let us look into all the three sources of our imaginations in detail. The first source is preconditioning, that is assuming without knowing, that depends on something or someone outside, which would keep changing, not sure if it leads to harmony or if it leads to contradiction. Sometimes preconditioning will lead to harmony or sometimes lead to contradiction. Since we are enslaved with precondition, so this kind of indefiniteness is there in imagination. The second source of imagination is via sensation. So happiness from favorable sensation of sound, touch, form, taste, smell through body are all favorable. Sensation is very much desirable. The only thing is to derive the happiness rightly from the sensations. Sensation has a role to play in our conduct. The happiness out of sensation may not be continuous. The happiness would be from indulgence. And also when we use physical facility and try to derive the sensation for the sake of happiness. The physical facility is necessary. For example, food is necessary and it is giving taste in the beginning. But as you go on consuming the food, gradually it becomes unnecessary. But still we are able to taste it. But if you are trying to consume much further, then it loses its taste and becomes unnecessary. And gradually it becomes intolerable. And this is how our desires would be mostly, if guided by sensation. The third source is natural acceptance. Purpose or what to be, what to do as a human being, that leads to harmony and happiness within. continuity in happiness is desirable and also possible. So the natural acceptance for relationship will lead to mutual fulfillment, complementarity, and not for opposition. The natural acceptance for harmony would lead to mutual enrichment, not for exploitation, being in harmony within and harmony with outside. The natural acceptance for coexistence will lead for coexistence and not for conflict. So essentially, we need to explore our natural acceptance more, and we should be aware of natural acceptance. Only then the dependence of happiness would be based on preconditioning or sensation would gradually decrease. So I utilize a sensation now to utilize the body as an instrument, and I no longer have preconditioning as I have the source of imagination as natural acceptance, that is right understanding. So the way I desire to be sometime is placed in the diagram top. I would like all my desires to be in harmony so that my thoughts and expectations are also in harmony. But if I do not work for right understanding, I may be in the state that is given below. When I find my desires in contradiction, we have contradiction of thoughts and contradiction of expectations also, and that makes me unhappy. So this disharmony is unhappiness. So you will be able to see that unhappiness is not outside you. It's not in the body, not the world outside for you. For you, the unhappiness is there in your imagination. Essentially, the contradiction within is your desires, thought, and expectation. So I have to work for the right understanding so that I have harmony within and free of contradiction within. So now let us look into the state of imagination. If the imagination is random and disorganized, it indicates a state of confusion. Many of these imaginations may be contrary to each other and contrary to the natural acceptance. If we observe carefully, we realize that we have accumulated a lots of desires which are resulting in numerous thoughts and expectations. So harmony in the self is realized when there is no contradiction in imagination and all imagination is in accordance with natural acceptance. So now let us look into the state of imagination when it is random and disorganized. You would see the diagram out here where the larger red color portion is the imagination that is guided more by preconditioning, and the black color is the region where it is imagination is governed by sensation. And in reality you will observe that our imaginations are very less guided by our natural acceptance, that is our intention. So now we would see that the content of imagination has to be guided by right understanding. That is, the right understanding is to be ensured in the self, and the imagination has to be guided by that. If my desire, thoughts, and expectations are in accordance with my natural acceptance, then my content of imagination would be guided by right understanding, and that is how I would have that continuity in my happiness. That is, the state of being in harmony would be felt, and whereby the continuity of happiness could also be attained. So let us now sum up this lecture. The self is a unit of consciousness. It consists of various activities which are going on continuously. The activities of desire, thought, and expectations are together called imagination. We to observe the self by becoming aware of our imagination and natural acceptance. The behavior and work are the expressions of imagination. Imagination may be motivated by preconditioning or sensation or natural acceptance. So when my imagination is fully motivated by natural acceptance, the self is in harmony, and therefore there is a state of continuous happiness. And this is the state of self-organization. In this state, the conduct is definite and humane. When the imagination is motivated by preconditioning or sensation, then the self may be in harmony or disharmony or in contradiction. And this is the state of happiness or unhappiness. The state of the self is largely decided by external influence, and this is the state of enslavement. In this state, the conduct is definite. It may be humane or inhumane.